Hello everybody, Toastbomb here with a review of the EasyCAP DC60, which is a capture device that can be used for recording DVDs, which is what it's advertised for, but I use it for games. And just to be clear, it's EasyCAP spelled out, E-A-S-Y, because there's another identical thing that looks exactly the same, it has the same picture and everything on Amazon, that is EasyCAP, the letter E and the letter Z, and apparently one of them is this counterfeit ripoff, but is apparently exactly the same in the same driver's work. I'm assuming that the letter E, letter Z cap is the real one, because that's the one I got the drivers for, and I have the EasyCAP spelled out, but it's really hard. There's not a lot of documentation on these things, and I've heard people say on the internet one way or the other, like which one is the real one, which one is the fake one, and for the most part people have said that the one I have is the fake one, but I've also heard the other way as well. And just to make it extra clear and easy to find the correct one that I have, I'll post a link to the Amazon page in the description for the exact capture device I have, because there's also the DC60 Plus, which I'm not sure how that's any different. It might be the exact same thing. I don't know, this whole thing's kind of dodgy with this whole counterfeit, not counterfeit, rip-off stuff going on, that I don't know if that thing's actually any different. It might just be advertised with a plus and then they sell it for a few extra dollars. I have no idea. But anyways, let's get to the review. Now, the first thing I have to mention is this thing was ultra cheap. This thing was only $8.80 on Amazon, and I did have Prime. I do have Amazon Prime, so I didn't have to pay for shipping, so that's one thing to consider if you were actually going to get this through Amazon and you're going to have to pay shipping because you don't have Prime. Then it would be a couple extra dollars. It would probably only be like $11 still. That's ridiculously cheap for a capture device. So pretty much what you'd expect with a fairly high-tech thing that is under $10, and normally these things cost $50 or more for a standard definition capture device. You'd expect this thing to feel like crap, like literally, like you take it out and it feels like a turd in your hand. You'd expect it to be like that and just on fire all the time, and then maybe it sort of works some of the time. Well, surprisingly, this thing actually feels really good. That was the first thing I noticed. Straight out of the package, the plastic feels real nice, the construction feels good, it doesn't feel like it's just gonna randomly fall apart. The cable that it comes with a little USB extender cable. That feels a little dinky, but really, to be honest, the construction build on this thing is remarkably good for it being just $10. It does, though, when you are running stuff, seem to get a little overly warm, maybe, at sometimes, but it doesn't seem to affect it all, and hopefully that won't wear down the lifetime of this device. Now for connectivity, the EasyCAP DC60 does have your standard composite, your yellows, your whites, your reds, cables, connections, but also it does have S-Video. Unfortunately, I don't have anything to test S-Video with because I don't have any S-Video for any of my systems or anything like that. So I was not able to test that and compare the composite video with the S-Video. But if you do have S-Video, it should give you a slightly cleaner picture. And speaking of picture, it's actually pretty good. There is sometimes screen tearing in certain parts of the screen when there's very fast movement on the screen, and also it does seem to do some sort of weird interlacing type stuff. But that's not too big of a problem, because while you're either streaming through Open Broadcaster or XSplit or something like that, you can set it to blend the fields, or you can also do that in post-processing. You can blend the fields that way. But that is something to consider if you're looking for a capture device and you don't have the greatest computer. Blending those fields together to make the picture a little cleaner when movement is going by on the screen, it's gonna be a little bit harder on your CPU, so if you don't have a very good computer, that could maybe be a concern. Overall, the picture does look really nice for the product that you're getting. It is a little bit fuzzy, it's not the crispiest thing in the world, and then also it doesn't quite pick up colors super great. Sometimes they become a little overly saturated or they're a little off at times. So if you're really looking for an accurate image in terms of colors, and that really annoys you to have colors that are slightly off, then that could be a big issue for you, but it doesn't seem to be astronomically off to any extent. Now, I also do have another capture card, and it's a Hauppauge Colossus, which is an HD capture card, and I understand there's no way you can compare something that's $10, or sub $10 even, to something that's $150, but I still wanted to show you guys the comparison of what those two images, the HD and the SD, look like, so you can kind of get an idea of the difference there. Now, in terms of software, it's pretty lean, and the software that is provided is not very good. As far as I know, it doesn't even come with drivers. I'm not sure. I downloaded those off the internet separately. But the capture software that it actually does provide is not very good, and there's better stuff out there that you can actually download for free. So I'd recommend not even putting the disk that it comes with into your computer, and only using the drivers that you can download offline for the EZ, the letter E, letter Z capture card, because it's identical, and I'll have a link in the description for that, and then also just downloading some other program. For me, I'm using the thing that came with my Hauppauge, which is pretty nice. But obviously, if you have a Hauppauge, most likely you're not going to need to get this other thing, so you're going to need some sort of capture software. I've also heard some reviews. I didn't have any problem with this. It might be because I was using ArcSoft Showbiz, which is the capture software with the Hauppauge, but apparently when you get this thing, it's automatically set to PAL or Japanese, something like that, and you need to go into the device settings when you're in your capture software, and you need to set it, assuming you're in America, to NTSC, and what that will allow you to do is get color picture, because otherwise it may show up as black and white, or you might not get audio, and that should fix your issues there. I've also heard other people complain about their computer not picking up audio, and there was some weird things they had to do. For me personally, it connected to my computer fine, and I didn't have any issues. But that's one thing that kind of sucks about this thing, is it kind of is a little bit of a gamble with your $10, because you don't know if it will hook up with your computer. I think for the most part people did find out a solution for what was happening, but some people, it sounded like it just didn't have audio. Now, there is actually a way around that, where you can buy a small little thing that will allow the red and white cables to plug in and actually turn into a 3.5mm like headphone jack plug, and then you can plug that into your computer's line-in plug-in, which is usually the blue one that's on the back of your computer, or possibly just into any headphone port, and then you can use it as a line-in device. And then what you can do is download Audacity, which is a free product, and record the line-in audio, and then when you're in your editing program, you can line the audio and the video up, and then get your audio that way instead. And if you have gotten VGA cables for your Xbox, I believe you will already have one of those. My VGA cables did come with one of those little red-white audio to 3.5mm jack adapters, so you might already have one of those lying around. Also, if you want to play games on this, I would recommend getting a splitter, which, if you go on mono price, the splitter is only like 50 cents. You will have to pay for shipping, so it'll end up being a couple dollars, but you will need splitters if you want to play in a low lag environment, because if you're looking at the capture preview on your screen, it is pretty good, it is playable, but if you're trying to do anything very precise, and especially if you're trying to do any first-person shooter stuff, you're probably going to want to have a splitter, because the delay is enough that it can kind of throw you off. And that would be a splitter for the yellow cord. And I'll have, again, a link in the description to the page where you can get a splitter like I'm talking about. For me, I actually already had a splitter, and I got it through my Astros. So again, if you have Astros, you might already have a splitter. And it's not exactly the same thing that's on the link. It's not just a tiny little adapter. It's actually this whole cord. And it's actually meant to be used for audio. You can see on it there's the coloring of the white and the red, and it's meant to be so you can have maybe your audio going to your headphones, and then maybe also some speakers or something like that. But since these plugs, they're just generic, I mean, the coloring's there just to help you out, but really they're all the same thing, it's just a different signal being sent through. You can use this thing as a splitter and it works just fine. So if you happen to have Astros, or maybe something that looks like it's supposed to split those audio cables like that, then you probably should just be able to use it for your video instead, and that'll work just fine. But in the end, I definitely recommend this product. It might cost you a little bit extra than it initially looks like if you don't have these extra things like the splitter or the adapter for the audio if you're going to need that. And also it is a little bit of a gamble and you might have to troubleshoot quite a bit to get the device working on your computer. But at the end of the day, it's under $10 and the picture is, while not perfect, pretty high quality. So I would recommend this product to people who either just want to get started and they don't have a ton of cash to burn. But if you do, I would probably recommend going up to a Dazzle. Those things will run you about $45 to $50, and the picture quality is a little bit better, but it's not HD. They do have an HD version that's like $80, and there is many other capture cards out there that are around the $80 price range that are sort of the low-end HD capture card, and those are pretty good as well. So if you have the cash to spend to get one of those, I would probably recommend that. But if you're just kind of testing the waters with this whole capture stuff and you want to eventually go out and buy something that's higher end, but you don't really know if this is something you want to do yet, you're just testing it out, then I would definitely recommend this. You should totally get it, and it is definitely something that is not horrible to look at. Like, I can look at that picture and tell what's going on. It's not completely blocky, there's nothing crazy going on screen, the colors are accurate enough that you can look at it and say, yeah, that is the color it's supposed to be for the most part. But anyways, that is it for this video. If you liked it, you can leave a like or a comment, or you can subscribe, because I post new Halo videos every day, Halo videos, and yes, now every day. I've been moving into the apartment I'm in now. It's awesome. So yeah, see you later. Bye.